Hello everyone and welcome to this next session of PragatiE Vichaar Break the Bias. Today we have with us Ms Monica Malhotra and we are extremely privileged to have her on this Break the Bias session. Ms Monica Malhotra Kandhari, a second generation entrepreneur, is the Managing Director of MBD Group. She started working at the age of 16 and today she is recognized as one of the most important pillars of the Indian publishing industry for her efforts to promote education across the country. MBD is the only Indian origin publisher to be included in the National Catalogue of South Africa. More than 100 MBD titles are accredited by the Sri Lankan Ministry of Education. Ms. Malhotra has also worked towards creating synergies with leading international brands like Microsoft and Intel. She has been elected Vice President for North for the Federation of Indian Publishers, one of the supporting members of today's event, and is a key member of CII and a co-chair of publishing at FICCI. Ms. Malhotra leads MBD's education business both in print as well as the digital education space. She is also involved with the design and construction, hospitality, and real estate ventures of the MBD Group. Welcome, Ms. Monica.
Thank you so much, Kapil, for the introduction. That was quite generous of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's jump straight into some questions. I mean, today is International Women's Day. So I guess let us start.
Congratulations to you also.
Thank you to you as well. Let us start with talking about some of your big achievements that you would like to share from your remarkable journey as the Managing Director of MBD Group.
Well, Kapil, if I have to talk about the great achievements, or greatest of achievements, at first, I would like to mention that I got a platform in my life in terms of starting from a point. And I was very blessed to learn from the master himself, who's my father, Shri Ashok Kumar Malhotra. He was, not because he's my father, he's known to be legendary in field of education, facelifting education and consumption of education in a different way. So I learned it from him. I was, by nature, I'm very observant, and by nature, I always have that quest for learning. So I think these all three things combined, getting a platform, quest for learning, and also learning from the master, was three key things, which were the first, I would say, the greatest achievement of my life, from where this journey started. So the group was generous enough to give me training for 2 years in different departments, in different facets of business. And I started quite early at the age of 15 because, again, I said the quest for learning. So I wanted to learn on the job itself and wanted to walk the mile myself. So, and more so, the achievement, again, if I talk about further ahead, was to breaking that bias that I'm just the owner's daughter and I'm there and provided a platform and starting from there. It's not because of that, is that I've worked hard towards it. I have learned not just the tricks of the trade, but the trade itself. And I have walked the mile myself. I was made to do one of my own books myself. So I was awarded at the age of, I think, 17 or 18, and that was another achievement. After that, there were series of awards which were there, but always your first award is very, very close to your heart. And then from there on, the journey started of innovation. For MBD, innovation is at the core. They want to be innovative in whichever vertical they are, whether it is hospitality, whether it is education, or whether it is reality. In all spaces, we want to be innovative. So if I talk about education per se, we included lots of other things to it, which is capacity building, skilling people, having our own skill centers, partnering with government on that, and doing paper manufacturing so that we are backward and forward integrated into stationery manufacturing. And then also coming in a big way into the digital space. We started with a lot of research for 5-6 years as to what kind of products are required for a place like India, for a diverse place like India, which each pocket is sitting differently with different challenges and different opportunities. So today, if I say that the achievement is that we cover the entire spectrum where I have to say all kinds of services and products which are required for teaching and learning processes, whether it's digital or in print format, whether it is in the national curriculums or state curriculums, whether it is the want is hybrid. So we customize to the last mile. So that is I would say is our greatest achievement, to be always affordable, suiting to the masses, and we provide solutions which are suitable to that particular customer. So this is the greatest achievement which have been since the inception of MBD, and we have followed that culture. So a lot many things were added, and today I think we call ourselves as an education company. Why? Because we are covering all facets so of providing of learning and teaching. So, I mean, there have been, and of course, if I talk about, interestingly, because this is International Women's Day, so I can talk about certain things which I had in mind, initially, that me being a woman, and in our family also, I was the first one probably entering into a business space. So I had that thing in that, I started like way back. So the thing in mind that whether I'll be accepted as a woman also or not. What kind of biases will be there at the work place. So from my personal perspective, I'm not saying generalizing here again, but from my personal perspective, it was more so that I have to break the bias of being daughter of the owner. Yes, there was a question that how long she's going to be there. Is it is her hobby? She wants to just spend some time over here and then she wants to do something else. So that seriousness came when there's no I learned this one thing in life. There's no substitute to knowledge and practical knowledge per se, if I have to say. There's no substitute to that.
So,
And so if and you have to be prepared for your meetings, for your day. And I realized that in in due course of time, that it's same for man and woman both. If a man enters your office unprepared for the meeting, he's equally judged as a woman. Sometimes it's more in your mind also. Yes, you have to be over prepared, so that initially I used to be really, really over prepared for all my meetings, because I never wanted anybody should take me not seriously just because of many other things which I just spoke about. So, but now if I think that the survival of fittest uh, around me, the atmosphere which I've created for other women working along with me. So this is how it is. So interesting journey, yes. Achievements are small and big both. So some of them I've enumerated.
sure. Thank you so much for that. So you were conferred as Times Icon Power 2021. Can you share some of your thoughts and feelings on that?
Well, each award which you get, uh, you get a sense of encouragement, especially so when then this Times Icon Award came during this pandemic, and the background of that, where uh, uh, I mean, I always say that this is for the team, but this time more, I think it's more because of the team I got this. I mean, the way they have stood by us, stood by the group, values of the group, the lived the values of the group. I mean, it has been remarkable. I saw some remarkable facets of the people around me. The way they were resilient, they were consistent, they were still confident, and they were not losing hope, and they were determined. I think it is this time definitely so. It's just because of them. I do not owe it to anything, which probably I can never say I have done it. We've always done together. So it's because of the team this time. I would definitely say that the kind of valor they have shown in this time. So shown in this time, I'm thankful to them, and this award is for them. So it is definitely encouraging all of us as a group.
So MBD Group overall has been, I consider them as one of the, one participant in a very small subset of traditional publishers. So traditional, I mean those who have been around for a few decades, that have accepted and that have actually excelled in e-learning and digital and everything. What is your next vision with that?
Well, it's a very good question you brought up. In fact, when I said that a core of MBD is innovation. So if you see the trajectory, the journey up till now,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was augmented reality, virtual reality, or 3D learning, or apps, ICT programs, so everything we were almost the first ones to bring to education in India in K-12 segment.
Mm-hmm.
So I can proudly say that my team put that together. As I said, I have that quest for learning. So my idea of learning is I visit different countries. So what the different countries have to offer to us, which we can bring to India. India has many countries put together. In fact, if the number of students we have, the population is far and wide. I mean, there's so many things which you can bring to the table and for consumption. So we see what is suitable to our market, and we from even cross industries. So like augmented reality and all 3D learning and also they came from cross industries also. So following that, yes, we went into digital in a very big way. We have our presence in the digital as good as we have in print. We are also covering international markets. We are working with government in many of the schools. We are content partners in many of the projects of the government. Way ahead is because in the background of again when this pandemic started, uh, our team got together to work on an innovative product called Ahsoka. So that's an app which the group has brought out. Under Ahsoka, we have a hybrid model whereby we give books, we give ERP solutions, and we give mobile app which facilitates the um distant learning also, and even class learning and teaching. So we have a hybrid model whereby we provide under this program, which is called ALTS for us, which is Ashoka Learning and Teaching Solutions. We provide all the solutions which are required by school, whether from the administrative perspective, from teaching perspective, or learning perspective, or mapping. And these solutions are adaptive and customizable. And the beauty of this is these are very, very affordable. And we always want, like MBD always has done that. We have brought that into the solution at very humble cost, so that we can pilfer it into as much as India. Everybody cannot have fatter pockets to pay for. We have that mindset that digital solution is going to be expensive. So I want to break that embargo. So MBD has that mindset that we have to break that embargo. You don't have to pay more for it. It is just that we have to design it intelligently so that it becomes like a tool with this hybrid learning. It is not here to change, or a paradigm shift is not there. It is a tool which we have to effectively use it. So
Sure.
that's what it is. It's not in India. We want to take the solution abroad also in different countries, and starting with the developing countries, and then the rest seeing and mapping, because this solution is suitable to most of the developing countries what we have developed.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what is right now is our vision, we want our educational vertical to go for.
Great. Let's change it a little bit, and let's talk
Yeah.
about how do you as an individual, I mean, with all the things that you do, with all the organizations that you run, how do you manage the balance between your work and your personal life?
Again, I will first of all talk about upbringing. My parents were progressive, very progressive in thought. One thing they always told me: family comes first. So it's good to be professional, but strive to be a complete woman than to be just professional.
Sure.
So that has been the idea always. I had some instances I've seen, like I used to observe people, if there are men and women in the same conference room, and you get a call from home. A man will react to it as if I'm taking the call. See, I'm sensitive. I'm a good human being. A woman will not take the call, saying that people will think that I'm not professional enough and I'm getting up from the meeting. So that mindset has to be broken first. You have to erase from your own mind
Mm-hmm.
that you should not be embarrassed of having a family. You're blessed to have a family.
Mhm.
So we all should strive to become complete women, then being incomplete human being and just being cold professional. So that thought process helped me from where I come from. So it gives me the liberty of designing each day differently in terms of depending what needs my more attention today. There are certain amount of hours, yes, of course, I have that aligned to the family, but those hours can look different in terms of morning or evening or night, depending upon the work exigency, and that probably I have that leverage to do that also. So
Mhm.
that luxury to do that also. But I see a lot of other people probably thinking that this can take a back seat. I'll involve myself more into work. But I think that that balance is so very important, because ultimately, if your family is not supportive and happy, you go back home and you don't see a happy family, then somewhere you're doing some things which are meaningless. If you want to change the world, and if you don't have a happy home, I think we have started wrong. So that is the thought process, and I proudly pick up the phone of my children or anybody from the house that they requires to talk to me or on whatever subject. So
Mhm.
so is, I think, where the people in the organization, if they have any exigency at home and they want to, I mean, not only do they work from home sometimes, I definitely allow that, because I see their heart is in place and their work is delivered, and
Sure.
in whichever hours they work. So I think it's more about being complete human being. So that's what we should strive for. Otherwise, creating another bias for ourselves in some years to come.
Sure.
So that's how I do
Sure. So, I have always found Indian publishing industry as a very fascinating place.
it. It
You know,
is.
on one side, you would look at the editor space where you would, almost look at it and say it is female dominated. I mean, there are probably more women in that role versus men. But however, on the other side, when you look at the final decision makers and when you look at the managing directors and the CEOs of the organization in the Indian publishing industry, you see it is extremely male dominated. You and a couple of others I know are perhaps the only ones who are there as the key decision makers, key eventual final decision makers, and more importantly, those that participate in various trade and other related bodies in that capacity. So can you talk about some of your experiences, some of your struggles, and some of your challenges navigating through that?
As I said, Kapil, that there's no substitute to knowledge. And when you come across that your subject, you're respected for that. You'll never be respected from where you come from, which group you belong to. You individually will be respected only for what you have here in your mind.
Sure.
How do you conduct yourself? If your heart and mind is not in place somewhere, you lack the respect in the eyes of the other people. So that is just very, very important. What you take back and what you give back. So if I talk about, yes, there are at certain levels the ratios are not so humble in terms of women. I agree to that, but we have started from somewhere. So we are in a journey and we're going to reach somewhere. So these ratios, not only in publishing, but in other businesses also, the ratios are improving. It's a slow process because we have lived in a certain way and thought in a certain way for decades and centuries. So it is going to take another some decades and centuries to bring this equality.
Mhm.
Right. And I also don't think so. We have to bring equality in every sphere also, because every woman or man, they have their own capacities and capabilities. So depending what they want to do, it needn't be that each job should have equal numbers or whatever. But if I talk about, thankfully, this publishing industry, the decision makers, if I talk about at the school levels, we find a lot of women teachers over there, lot of women teachers over there. So for publishers, they are the decision makers more than anybody else, because they have to agree to prescribe your book, or they think and they evaluate your books. So whether it's in the editor level or decision maker levels, for us, there's no dearth of women. I mean, there are women, lot of women, and yes, at CEO levels and all. If I talk about, numbers will be enriching as we progress along. not only in this industry, but in other industries also, I would think so. And uh, you know, if I talk about just metros, where we come from, cities, and lot, I think we are seeing the progression is much faster. If I talk about the places which are other than metros or the B cities or C cities or villages, as we go further down, the progression is slower. But
Mhm.
then India is so far and wide to bring about that paradigm shift or a change. We have to start at macro and micro level both for any kind of presence of women in any kind of field.
Mhm.
So that's what it is, I think.
Sure, sure. So the theme for this year's International Women's Day is Break the Bias. Could you enlighten our readers and viewers and share your views on, how do you do more, and how do you, kind of aspects that are that are important in terms of empowering more women to come in the professional space, to be the leaders, and more importantly also to become the the entrepreneurs or start their own enterprises.
Yeah. Kapil, this is very interesting question. In fact, I deliberate lot many times in my mind. Uh, Whether we have pegged the end results correctly or not in terms of progression of women, sometimes I question. I mean, they are not incorrect, I would say, but probably they're coming out of germinating out of correct perspective or not. Um, yes, I feel that I totally agree that educating a woman means educating a family, and a family means society. Society means country at large. And they definitely, if these women who are, if they contribute to the country in any big or small way, it is going to impact the GDP in a very happy way.
Mhm.
And I also think that it will also improve the standard of living and of people. But then I also feel that education is important for man and woman both. For man to understand that woman has to be respected even if she is a homemaker. I mean, that idea which probably has seen certain women, I'm not generalizing. We can't generalize at all, first of all, because everybody has got their own obstacles and own opportunities.
Sure.
So they think, okay, being a homemaker, somewhere they think this is not productive, which is not the correct idea. We are trying to say that our grandmothers and all who were homemakers, they didn't do a good job or they were not progressive. I think we are wrong somewhere. So it's all about whatever, whosoever is doing, they're respected for the job.
Mhm.
I mean, we are detesting that being a homemaker is not very professional, or it's not really up there. We want to look at, and then we want to have house husbands also at one point of time. So we
Mhm.
should respect where we come from, so that the whole the whole progression of women is respected. Then we say, okay, women are wasting time. I was just reading, in fact, one day that women are wasting time doing menial jobs, bringing villages, and they're bringing water to their home, and then doing some wood from jungles or whatever. But is it a problem of being man and woman, and somebody has to do it out, either man or woman of the house?
Mhm.
That means where somewhere the infrastructure is faulty.
Mhm.
Where is the time and space for that woman to think what she wants out of her life?
Sure.
So that balance has been created, okay, because man was working, the men of that village or that community were working, and so women got into those jobs. So lot many things are responsible for being what we are, where we are,
Yes.
and where we want to reach. I think we definitely have to think that we have to respect. We first it starts from erasing from our own mind that that we have that biasness, sometimes more in our mind, and it reflects in our work.
Mhm.
It reflects in our confidence that me being a woman, I'll not be able to do it correctly.
Mhm.
So if that is not erased from our own mind, that's the first step. The
Sure.
second step we expect from the people around is respect. That is the first step of empowerment of whatever work you do.
Mhm.
So where we come from, we should respect that. We want to reach is equality. We should try to be better than what we are today, not trying to be better than men. We should not strive to be to bring another inequality in 100 years or next century to come, and fight that then first, that
Sure.
family should be respected or men should be respected. So we need to be better than what we are today, from yesterday till today. How I'm adorning myself in knowledge, in skill set. not being better than just men. That should not be the focus.
Sure.
So, I find somewhere we have to align loads of other things to give space to women for advancement and respect to women. And these are the two things which will make them feel secure to do anything what they want to do in life.
Sure.
And if they want to do something which is different from the being a homemaker, then they have to get that space and time.
Sure.
We can't be thinking that they are goddesses or they are heroes or they do everything at home and at work. So I do understand that the men also should participate in the course of life. But then if those jobs we are not respecting ourselves, how will expect the other people to respect and do those jobs for us? So not many things are be aligned well. And I think this has to start from a micro level where we have smaller units of organizations of women who support the women around, looking at their particular needs, obstacles, and their skills. It cannot be just done on the macro level. We can talk about it. People can get impressed by it. Some people who have the ways and means, they can also probably get some clue out of it. But the empowerment has to start from the lowest level, I think.
Sure. So dereliction of duties and division of duties, which is primarily based on respect for what the other person is doing, is really what you are saying.
That's the key. That's the first step.
Whether that job is to manage the house, whether that job is to take care of the kids, whether that job is to do a home gardening, or whether that job is to go out and be a managing director like Monica. But that dereliction, division of responsibilities and respect for that.
That's right.
So,
thank you.
As MBD Group, while you have grown layers over layers over the last few years, while you have been the managing director, can you talk about what sort of stuff have you done as a brand to ensure or to empower or to increase women's involvement in your organization?
When I think about group at large, we do education primarily. We are into skills also, capacity building also, and digital also. We are into hospitality, then commercial, then residences and hotels. So if you look at hotels per se, the frontline staff, not many women involvement is there, and even at managerial level, I find there is involvement over there, even if it is mid-level or high level of management, and it's increasing. At the the interaction level, I find a lot of women are there.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I mean, the numbers are they outnumber men at that level. Mm-hmm. At higher levels, the things are improving and much happier each day. And in publishing, I say that the woman domination is there in terms of decision makers and mine, decision making which happens in schools. And if I talk about even at the editorial level, creation level, I find a lot of women involvement is there. And as I said, my thought process is not based on men or women. It's thought process when you erase from here and you see it, say it's survival of fittest, who befits that job. If you don't erase from here, it will not trickle down.
Sure.
So thankfully in publishing, but still we have a lot of women who are in leadership roles, leading some teams, leading content teams, the animation teams, the teachers, the evaluators, the reviewers. So there are many people at many levels decision making, which is done by women as such. So at CEO levels and all, as I said, things are progressing. So depending upon how I think publishing is if you've reached there, they've reached the mid level and some at higher levels. So soon I think they'll be seen at much higher levels also. So the progression I can see it is happening and it's growing.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
So what would you like to advise the next generation of women entrepreneurs who are aspiring to, break the biases or break the glass ceiling, as they say?
First, erase from your mind that bias. Then only you'll be perceived. It will come into your actions. that you are not coming, this is not your underlying current somewhere. That's the first thing. The second thing is just, of course, determination has to be there, that you have to do something. Whatever you have to do, you want to do something which with perfection, increase knowledge on that. Then you need to, of course, when you're breaking a bias which has been there for some time, you need to call for more strength than otherwise. So that strength has to be there. You have to probably train your mind thinking that if people around you are judgmental, it's just good for them. You need to know that you're striving to be a complete human being and you're correct. Then all other judgments fail around us. Even the best of the people, they face a lot of judgments all throughout their lives. So, whether they have reached where they have to reach, whether they are growing or whether they're starting, everybody is surrounded with judgments. So you need to understand how to isolate yourself from there. Then is your knowledge, then your practical knowledge, then is your study, you're learning from that study, then you build up a team, motivate them, oversee them, and deliver. And this is no different from what a man has to do.
Sure.
So ultimately, when you understand that, the bias first has to be broken inside, it will then soon start making way.
So really the best way to break the bias, from what I hear, is number one, to take it out of your head, and number two, do not work to break the bias, just work and the bias will itself go away.
That's what it is. But as I said, generalizing cannot happen. Each woman has to be seen with their own obstacles and opportunities.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. One last question that I would like to ask. What role do you think the empowered women, so-called, if I could use the word privileged, the privileged women who have been through a journey, who have accomplished a lot, what role should they play when it comes to increasing, or when it comes to providing a larger platform or mentoring or other capabilities that they could provide when you think about women empowerment?
As I said, we have to start this from micro level. Each woman who has the capacity and capability to mentor, of mentoring the women around, because each one is coming with a lot of backlog of many things which have to be taken away. The thought process has to change. They have to find their ways and means to achieve what they want to, being that fulcrum, being that guiding light. So I think each woman who has the privilege to do it should do in their immediate surroundings first. So that chain reaction has to continue. So it's very good to speak on the forums because you speak your heart out, and many people who are sitting in different parts of the world, then they also try to do the same things if their muscle power allows. So these forums are also good at macro level. At micro level, I think we have to look at what's around us. So each one who is blessed to do this, we should do what's around us. So at least we are effectively doing some job which is not half done but completely done of women around us. Otherwise, sometimes it just leaves you half baked because you don't understand where they're coming from.
Sure.
So it can be macro level, can be only impression and some kind of motivation inside, but ground level action plans are pretty much different.
Sure. Thank you so much for those insights, Monica. As we come to the end of this particular session, any last thoughts that you would like to leave our readers and our viewers with?
I would say that we let's break the bias to achieve equality, not other inequality. We need to be better ourselves, not better than the others. Women have to be respected, men have to be respected equally forever, so that this balance does not go the other way around someday.
Sure.
So that's what I'm saying. Let's respect each other's presence, not because of the gender, but just because they are human beings, and go along.
Sure. So, definitely, absolutely, I agree. Feminism cannot be misandry.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Monica. I think it's been a very interesting session. I'm sure
Thank you so much.
our readers, would love to hear more from you in future sessions as well. But thank you so much for taking your time out for today. And
Thank you. I'm humbled that you let me speak. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. All the very best.
Bye.